Well, well, well. Happy 10th anniversary of TheHappySpaceman Productions. That's right, I started my YouTube channel 10 years ago today, and have been posting stuff online as TheHappySpaceman for exactly 1 decade now. I figured I'd do something special for the occasion, so today I'm going to review a particular horror musical comedy from the 70s that was initially a critical and box office failure, but eventually found a cult following as a midnight movie, and has inspired numerous conventions, as well as hoping to make some of the people who were involved famous. I am talking, of course, about the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Phantom of the Paradise. It's easy to get those two movies confused. One of them is a universally beloved cult classic that I always watch around Halloween for laughs, and the other one is my favorite movie of all time. I'm not kidding. My favorite movie of all time is Brian De Palma's Phantom of the Paradise. Check it out. Not only do I have this DVD that I watch constantly, but I also have this collector's edition Blu-ray DVD combo pack, and I don't even have a Blu-ray player! I also have the soundtrack for the movie whenever I want a mix of heavy metal and 60s greaser music. But the most official proof of my fanboyism for this movie is this 27x40 Phantom of the Paradise poster hanging on my bedroom wall. Because nothing helps me sleep better than the sight of Paul Williams laughing at me. Honestly, I kind of feel bad reviewing this. It's not often that I get to talk about a movie that I actually like, but don't worry, this time I'll be making fun of it out of love, instead of out of anger like certain other movies and albums I reviewed. The obvious comparison I made earlier is the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and critics take note of this, by which I mean nearly every review of Phantom that I've read contains some mention of Rocky Horror. But I'll talk about that later, don't want to jump the gun here. How'd this movie even come about, anyway? It all started with a screenplay that director Brian De Palma, and yes, that Brian De Palma, pitched in 1969 called Phantom of the Fillmore, which was to be set at Bill Graham's Fillmore East in New York City. But when the Fillmore East closed down in 1971, he renamed it the Phantom and changed the venue to a fictional location called the Paradise, and it stayed that way during most of production, only to have to rename it again due to threatened legal action from King Features Syndicate, who didn't want people to confuse the movie with their comic book character, also called the Phantom. Oh, come on! It's not like the actual movie for the Phantom wound up being any better. The movie itself was fraught with other legal struggles and a super troubled production before its eventual release by 20th Century Fox on Halloween 1974. Wait, this was a Halloween release? I wish I'd known that before, that way I could have reviewed this instead of Monster Mash! Many factors can be attributed to the movie's poor performance, including its low budget, a subpar ad campaign, and a general lack of publicity. But regardless of that, is it a good movie? Yeah. Yeah, it is. I kinda thought that would be obvious by now. In fact, I highly recommend that all of you stop watching this review and go watch the movie for yourselves, and then maybe come back and watch this review. What? I still gotta get views. First of all, the opening monologue perfectly sets the tone for this movie.
Swan. He has no other name. His past is a mystery, but his work is already a legend.
Now, for those who don't know, this narration is provided by Rod Serling, creator of The Twilight Zone. And his inclusion in this movie does a few things. First of all, by throwing a famous person into the movie, it gives the audience sort of a point of recognition. This movie didn't really have any big stars in it, at least not ones who were big at the time, so having such a recognizable voice at the beginning helps for those who might have doubts. But it's not like they're just using any old random celebrity voice at the beginning. They chose Rod Serling for a specific reason. The Twilight Zone is known for having an eerie, surreal feeling, with episodes often featuring a strange supernatural element. With Serling's inclusion at the beginning of this movie, we start to get the sense that this movie may have similar elements. Also, one of the main elements of the Twilight Zone is that nothing is ever as they seem. There's always another layer to things. Keep this in mind as Serling describes Swan.
He wrote and produced his first gold record at 14. He brought the blues to Britain. He brought Liverpool to America. He brought folk and rock together.
We get the sense that Swan was this child prodigy, a young Mozart of sorts, and has been behind some of the biggest cultural movements.
Now he is looking for the new sound of the spheres to inaugurate his own Xanadu.
Xanadu? Nah, that movie won't come out for years. I could have also made a Rush reference.
The Paradise. The ultimate rock palace. This film is the story of that search. of that sound, of the man who made it, the girl who sang it, and the monster who stole it.
Wow, pretty ominous stuff. Though to be fair, anything would sound awesome with Rod Serling narrating it. Hell, I wish I knew a Rod Serling impersonator, so I gotta have him narrate this video instead of me.
It is I, the Phantom of the Opera! And who dares to review a movie with my name in it? Gaze upon my ghastly visage as I play the organ and drop a chandelier on you! Because that's what I do!
Oh no, do go on. I want to see where you're going with this.
Dare you talk back to me? For you see, I have... Alright, you got me. Alright, good time. Alright, you got me. Truth be told, I've never really seen any of the Phantom of the Opera movies myself.
How's it going, Magnetrex?
Oh, pretty good, you know. Just messing around on other people's YouTube channels and everything else while going back and forth reading scripts. You know, the usual.
Oh, well, that's good to hear.
Anywho, see you later, man.
You too, man. Now, where was I?
Oh yeah, thus we are treated to the greatest opening credits sequence ever.
We can't believe the price you paid for love.
Holy crap, it's Shauna, not the same band I was thinking of.
Little Eddie Mitty, born in Jersey City, started singing when he was 5.
Wait a minute. A 50s style song about a dead guy named Eddie? Much like that other 50s style song about a dead guy named Eddie?
Well, this clearly makes this movie a complete ripoff of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, even though this movie came out first.
Actually, to be fair, it's more similar to a different song.
Little Eddie Mitty, born in Jersey City, started singing when he was 5. Never knew his father and mother didn't bother to catch his last name fast as he came. I remember when Rock was young, me and Susie had so much fun, holding hands and skipping stones. Had an old Chevy and a place of our own to say, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Wow. 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 Seriously, how is this not lawsuit worthy? It's so similar. I would imagine that Elton John and Bernie Taupin would get pissed about this, but I highly doubt they saw this movie, so...
These are the Juicy Fruits, a nostalgia wave band promoted by Swan, the producer mentioned at the beginning. They're played by Archie Hahn, Jeffrey Cominor, and Peter Elbling, otherwise known as Obvious Pseudonym. And I'm pretty sure I should be offended by some of their dance moves. Some live shows have disruptive audience members acting violent. In this one, the band members are getting in fights with the audience. Ugh, and zip your damn shirt back up! If the audience is silent, it's because they didn't quite know how to react after the Juicy Fruits drummer loaded his kick drum with pyrotechnics. Wait, never mind. They were just waiting for Bugs Bunny as Leopold Stokowski to cue them in. This is Arnold Philbin, Swan's talent scout and right-hand man.
Philbin's name is taken from Mary Philbin, the actress who played Christine in the 1925 movie of the Phantom of the Opera alongside Lon Chaney Sr. True movie buffs would know that. I know that because I looked it up on IMDb.
It just seems like yesterday I found her in that church choir. I got her singing lessons. I taught her how to dress. I got her a first club job, and I paid off a columnist. He did a beautiful story on her.
Okay, why is Philbin telling this to Swan? Wouldn't he already know all this? I mean, Philbin works for Swan, so Swan would have been there when all this was happening. Why are you telling Swan something he already knows for no other reason than to give exposition for the audience?
We couldn't lose. We had her in an ironclad contract. It was a lock. It was over. It was closed. I even bribed the judge. He ruled against us, said we couldn't sign anyone to a life contract. Said we were a disgrace to the profession. A disgrace, he said. I was the one that made her the money-grubbing whore that she was, and he calls me a disgrace.
This is when they notice an unscheduled performer who I guess just walks on stage and starts playing the piano. Wouldn't security throw him out?
And as I lived my role, I swore I'd sell my soul for one love.
This is Winslow Leach, played by William Finley, who is no stranger to Brian De Palma movies. To this day, Finley has appeared in no less than 8 of De Palma's films, from his first movie, 1968's Murder a la Maude, to most recently 2006's The Black Dahlia. Here Finley plays a struggling songwriter from New York, who is really good at lip-syncing and pretending to play piano, and also at making his piano turn into an organ.
All my dreams are lost, I can't sleep.
The song itself is pretty damn great too, probably the best in the movie, and it doesn't go unnoticed by Swan and Philbin.
Look, I scout talent for Swan, and he's interested in your stuff. The Swan?
No, I meant a different Swan. Of course I meant the Swan, you dumbass!
Why don't you give us just 2 or 3 of the really good up numbers?
2 or 3 up number? You don't understand. It's not just songs. It's more. It's much more.
I don't get you, kid.
It's a whole series of songs that tell the story of Faust.
What? What Winslow's basically describing is a rock opera or concept album. How does Philbin not know what that is? The Dark Side of the Moon was released in 1973, a year before this movie. Tommy was released even earlier in 1969.
For a guy who works for someone who claims to know and create the trends in music, how did he miss that?
Look, a song is a song. You either dig it or you don't. Now, I like your stuff, kid. I think it's terrific. I think the Juicy Fruits are gonna dig it.
The Juicy Fruits?
I'm not promising anything. First one.
Wow, Winslow was so angry that he caused glass to break where there was no glass to be seen.
I'm not gonna let my music be mutilated by those grease balls.
Relax, kid. It was just an idea. Swan makes all these decisions, you know?
I'm sorry. It's just that I worked so hard on this thing.
It's okay, kid. Boy, you sure got some temper.
Foreshadowing!
Wow, you couldn't even put a sign on the building, so you had to use a title card? Come on, your budget wasn't that low. Leach goes back to Death Records to check on things.
Mr. Philbin said Mr. Swan was gonna call me about producing my first record.
One moment, please.
Little known fact, Eddie Van Halen currently has a similar file for Michael Anthony and Sammy Hagar.
And then it turns into a silent movie. Well, if nothing else, this movie is ultimate propaganda for always getting your songs copyrighted.
Follow that car!
I wonder, do taxi drivers ever actually receive that command? I always see that in movies, but I don't know if it ever happens in real life. Don't worry. Just slap autotune on that and it'll sound perfect. But one of the women captures his attention.
And I can't weep old emotions.
Where'd you get that song?
Oh, I got it from Philbin to audition with.
Sing it again.
All my dreams are lost, and I can't sleep alone.
Wow, they have such great chemistry. Too bad this is one of only 3 scenes they have together in the movie. This is Phoenix, played by Jessica Harper.
Wait a minute. Jessica Harper played Janet Weiss in Shock Treatment, the sequel to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. This movie is clearly ripping off Rocky Horror! Years before it or Shock Treatment ever existed, but still, complete ripoff.
As it turns out, however, not a lot of actual singing happens in the auditions.
Won't he just let me sing?
What's the matter?
Philbin tried. I just can't do enough that way. I came here to sing.
So, here's the deal with this scene.
This may seem uncomfortable in light of recent events, and honestly, it was uncomfortable for me the first time I watched it years ago. But it's important to remember 2 things when watching this scene. 1. The practice of the quote-unquote casting couch and women having to sleep their way to success in the entertainment industry is not a new thing. It's a deeply, profoundly messed up thing that has unfortunately been going on for decades. It's only in recent years that movements against this like Me Too have started to pick up. 2. And this is very important to remember,
Swan is the villain. That's not shocking, right? Like, it was clear before now that he was an antagonistic character, right?
Well, regardless, this scene isn't glorifying anything. Its disgustingness is a way of showing Swan's villainous nature early on.
Now that that's over with, let's go back to making jokes. Oh, Bob Saget, how am I supposed to go back to making jokes after that? Here, have something cute.
Though I think we can all agree that this part is a little confusing.
Hey, come here, buddy.
Do you guys know where a good department store is?
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll go right now.
So, the guards take him away, and then the very next scene, he winds up in drag and lying among the women that Swan's gonna be sleeping with. Why'd the guards put him there?
This scene eventually ends with the guards kicking Winslow out a second time, beating him up, and calling the police to plant drugs on him. But if they were going to do that, why didn't they go about it the more direct way?
Also, it's hard to take this scene seriously when the dialogue is obviously dubbed.
Well, if you can sing standing up, you can sing lying down.
Oh! Why don't you take your slip off?
No, I'm saving it for Swan.
Ugh, I hate it when creators dub over their dialogue in post-production. It looks so unprofessional!
But finally, we meet the man, nay, the legend, Swan. Wow, what an effective character reveal! Before this point, we'd never actually seen Swan on screen, making him something of a mystery. Too bad the movie's trailer spoiled it!
Paul Williams as Swan.
Get this fag out of here.
I'm sorry, I know it seems weird that I'd stifle a laugh at that line, but you have to understand something about Paul Williams, the guy who's playing Swan.
Paul Williams is a noted songwriter who wrote all the music in this movie, and at the time was mostly noted for writing softer numbers. He wrote for The Carpenters and Helen Reddy, and years later became famous for writing Rainbow Connection for the Muppet movie.
So I just wonder how jarring it must have been at the time to see such a family-friendly music icon saying lines like this.
Get this fag out of here. You can sing it better than any bitch.
Anyway, yeah, it turns out that Swan is the villain, and in a very well-delivered twist at that. The opening monologue sets us up to believe that Swan was the man who made the music and that Winslow is the monster who stole it, but it turns out to be the other way. Well, as previously mentioned, Winslow gets beaten up, drugs are planted on him, and he's arrested for pushing, though something tells me that this isn't the real courtroom. Also, I'm not going to make an obvious joke about the musician being put in Sing Sing. Things don't get any better for poor Winslow either.
We are very fortunate to be included here in the Dental Health Research Program. This is a volunteer program funded by the Swan Foundation. All your teeth will be pulled.
And kudos for having the best slam against privatized prisons since Holes.
Finally, Winslow has had enough, and it turns out that busting out of this notoriously maximum security prison is surprisingly easy. But tragedy strikes when ransacking Swan's headquarters.
Interesting fact, by the way, William Finley almost actually got badly injured by the record press during the filming of this scene. They barely managed to pull him out in time. So that wasn't acting. Those reactions are genuine.
And that is the origin of Two-Face. During all this chaos, violence, and genuine sadness, some of you may be wondering to yourselves, hey, wasn't this supposed to be an adaptation of Phantom of the Opera? It's over 20 minutes in, we still haven't met the Phantom yet.
Well, don't worry. We will meet the Phantom, but first...
It is rather interesting to note that Winslow's backstory of being a songwriter whose work was stolen and got burned in an accident is more reminiscent of the Phantom in the 1943 film The Phantom of the Opera, whereas in the original novel, Eric is said to be deformed from birth.
What are you doing here?
Oh, I just noticed something interesting, and novels are sort of my thing, so I thought I'd pipe in.
Huh. Cool. So, do you want to review the rest of the movie with me?
No thanks. I've never actually read the novel. I don't even know where I got this copy from.
Oh, well, hey, at least you didn't show up dressed like the Phantom of the Opera like my last cameo.
Wait, what?
Long story.
Anyway, while we were gone, Winslow turned into Darth Vader.
First the Rocky Horror Picture Show, now Star Wars? How dare this movie copy other movies years before their release?
Look, he's even got the full black leather suit. Wait, no, he's just cosplaying as Daft Punk. Wow, split screen in a Brian De Palma movie? That's so uncommon of him. Well, Winslow was probably overreacting. The Juicy Fruits version of Faust can't be that bad. So now they're the Beach Boys? Yeah, well, it could be worse. They could have turned it into Muzak.
Also, another fun fact, Brian De Palma was apparently inspired to write this movie when he heard an elevator music version of The Beatles' A Day in the Life, and wondered how such a piece of art could be watered down into something so bland and corporate. So hey, if there's one thing Muzak is good for, at least he gave us Phantom of the Paradise.
How does this scene end? Well...
Damn it, Keith Moon! Stop filling stuff with explosives!
Well, great. The Juicy Fruits may be dead now. This scene would be more startling if, again, the trailer hadn't spoiled it.
Movie trailers! Spoiling entire movies for the audience since before the internet.
This shocks Swan so much that he changes clothes to watch the film of the rehearsal, and then changes back into his previous clothes before leaving the room. Maybe the other ones didn't match the red aesthetic as well? Though I can't imagine why Winslow wouldn't trust someone who says lines like this.
Come to the auditions and see for yourself. Trust me! Trust me.
Well, the auditions come, and Phoenix arrives to sing again. Man, between Phoenix and Swan, what is it with so many of the characters being named after birds?
What would you give me to sing?
Anything you wanted.
Anything? Would you give me your voice?
Try me.
And now this movie's turning into The Little Mermaid? Thank God both of them are technically Disney properties now, otherwise we'd have another lawsuit on our hands.
Well, you told me one time that you'd be somebody, that you weren't working just to survive, but you're working so hard that you don't even know you're alive.
This song is admittedly one of the weaker ones in the film, but Jessica Harper does put on a great vocal performance. Seriously, she can sing quite well, and anyone who's seen Shock Treatment would know this. Her dancing, on the other hand...
Well, someone flunked at ballet school. Though to be fair, I have seen what happens to Jessica Harper at ballet school.
Anyway, how is the Phantom ever going to sing now? Well, in times of great crisis, there's always autotune.
You know, I was kidding with my Daft Punk joke earlier, but honestly, that reference is quite accurate.
Tomas and Guy Manuel of Daft Punk apparently first met when they were kids at a screening of Phantom of the Paradise, and their outfits are heavily inspired by the protagonist. In fact, in 2013, Paul Williams performed the song Touch with Daft Punk.
And the intro of Touch is a reference to this movie.
Touch. I remember touch. Where did I belong? I remember touch. I need something more.
Touch. I remember touch.
So yeah, if Phantom of the Paradise had never existed, Daft Punk might not exist.
Yes, and soon you won't exist either.
Whoa, Daft Punk? Is that you?
The very same, and we do not like how you are portraying us in your videos.
Okay, hold on guys. I'm sorry, I didn't know you guys would be offended by it.
Shut your white ass up. If you want to live, you need to stop using our image in your videos.
Kind of hard to do that, considering that that's exactly what I'm doing right now.
Oh, Bob Saget.
Well, don't worry guys. I'm sure my fans will know that you're not actually like that. I mean, you seem like nice enough people.
Don't count on it.
Ah!
I'm a mushroom cloud-laying mother.
Anyway, I also like the scene for this moment.
Like a child who was always poor, reaching out for more, I could feel the hunger.
See, this is clever because a Phantom singing voice now sounds like Swan's singing voice, and of course Swan would be narcissistic enough to call his own voice perfect. Whatever, I thought it was funny. Swan and the Phantom strike up a deal.
It will be performed here live, and Phoenix will star. We'll get fantastic musicians. The hall has great acoustics. It could
I
sound...
don't trust you, Swan. You've ruined my music before.
Forget about the juicy fruits. Who wants nostalgia anymore?
Also, having them sing your song would be hard considering that they're kind of dead.
Here's a contract. Everything I've said and more is in it.
Hey look, it's the contract Axl Rose makes all the Guns N' Roses members sign.
Party of the first part gives the party of the second part and his associates full power to do with him at their pleasure, to rule, to send, to fetch, or carry him or his, be it either body, soul, flesh, blood, or goods. What does that mean?
Oh, that's a transportation clause.
And this is why you should always hire a lawyer before signing anything, especially if you're signing in blood.
Ink isn't worth anything to me, Winslow. Now sign.
Wait a minute. Swan steals other songwriters' music, ruins their lives, and then makes them sign Faustian contracts just so they can release the music that they wrote to begin with? Something tells me he might be the villain.
Excellent. And now we're in business. Together. Forever.
Or at least until the end of this movie.
It is I, the Phantom of the Opera. Who dares?
Magnatrex beat you to it.
Damn it!
Guys, all these cameos have gotten me feeling tired out. We'll be back in a second video to finish talking about this movie. Meanwhile, well, enjoy this.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
Trust me.